This video will have spoilers for up to chapter 214 of Undead Unluck. Come back later when you've caught up. Okay, so first of all, I'm sorry about those previous chapter videos. I didn't realise the audio was so low. I don't know how that happened because the audio is sounding fine in my editing software. So I'm going to try and figure out what the problem was while editing this, but I've learned my lesson to rewatch the videos after you've processed them. Rookie mistake, however, rookie person. For the chapter itself, I love this chapter. This chapter is fucking phenomenal, and I've loved it the more I thought about it. The art, beautiful as always. However, the character choices and character decisions that Tezuka has made, the way he's represented some things artistically, to just certain choices he made and set up earlier in previous arcs, I fucking love it all. But before I ramble on, let's get into the recap. So, we open the chapter with Gina and Chikara in Moscow, keeping an eye on Tatiana as she is a fashion icon now, and while she is walking around with bodyguards, they keep an eye on her for the inevitability of untouchable activating, and in keeping an eye on her, they lose track of her. And after Fuka and everyone arrives over from the Idol Festival and finds out, they start freaking out over the potential catastrophe of untouchable activating in a city, and in that ensuing chaos, Billy's daughter Betty also disappears, conveniently running into Tatiana, who's going around in disguise, trying to have a personal day as a normal girl for once. And after buying Betty some blinny, Tatiana helps Betty realise that she's actually lost, and seeing that Betty is a lost child, Tatiana made a decision that My Hero Academia adults don't do, and has helped this lost child, spending the day for her trying to find Billy. Tatiana never finding Billy herself, however, Betty being able to hear him in the distance runs over to him, and Tatiana gets to go off on her own again. And Fuko, trying to find Tatiana, manages to lure her into the city centre to be able to track her by summoning Pan Panda, Japan's crazy mascot. However, in doing so, her rigging hat comes off, opening up her disguise to everyone getting to see her. However, before Untouchable gets to manifest, Kururu pulls everyone away using Unchase, and we finally get the reunion between Fuko and Tatiana. I fucking love this chapter. At face value, just on a first read, it is a very cute and heartwarming chapter because we finally get to see Tatiana again after so long, a character a lot of people have been looking forward to, especially because of her close connections to Fuko and the promise that she made with her, as well as just, Pan Panda, Japan's crazy mascot, coming out of nowhere. That's adorable. Their reunion itself is heartwarming and just, it hits you. The moments that Tatiana and Betty get to spend together are so adorable. However, the thing that carries this chapter for me is that this chapter just works so fucking well because Tezuka has set up many things in order to make this chapter work, and it feels so natural. For instance, straight off the bat, we have Gina and Chikara there, and it's important that those two are there looking over Tatiana because they're both people that are very important to Tatiana in the previous loop, with Gina having a sort of big sisterly, motherly dynamic with her in the previous loop that we sadly never got to saw, and Chikara being into Tatiana in the last loop, but they're both characters that are super important to Tatiana. And then again, we have Billy and Betty playing a big role in this chapter. Betty kind of being the inciting character in all this of getting lost in the ensuing chaos of, oh fuck, untouchable somewhere. However, Betty being the one that bumped into Tatiana is such a brilliant writing decision because in the previous loop, Tatiana was Billy's sort of surrogate adoptive daughter, whereas Betty is, well, Billy's actual daughter. And again, to see them two interact, it is sort of like seeing Tatiana interact with her 100th loop self. Because while we never got to see Tatiana act exactly like this, the way Betty acts here isn't too far on a question for how Tatiana would have acted being raised by Billy. Another reason why having Betty be the one to interact with Tatiana so importantly is because it brings Billy closer to Tatiana. Not just in the closer, he nearly got to see her this chapter, which I want to talk about that moment, but it also in the future when they do get to reunite, it's sort of hard to phrase it. When they get to meet each other for the first time again in the future, they're going to have that initial connection to each other, and that will help play off on their relationship to each other, as I do see Billy not being a new adoptive father for her because she still has her father and mother in this loop, but being sort of like a father figure she can look up to, because I still think she might be joining the union later on. And then Billy, the moment Billy meets Betty again, oh my fucking god, I adored this moment. First of all, Billy throughout this whole chapter, fucking funny as shit, okay? I love the fact that he's gone full dad freak out mode. He was about to shoot up, like, he wasn't going to shoot anyone, but he's about to start blasting his gun in the middle of Moscow. An American shooting his gun in Moscow, that's gonna fucking go out, surely. Billy's a great source of comedic relief in this chapter, with him freaking out over Betty disappearing. However, it's this small moment when he reunites with Betty. Betty starts talking about, oh, I was with this girl, and Billy just like, okay, I need to see who the fuck she was with. You see him, you see the clink. He uses his I can't remember the metal things on the back of cowboy boots, but he used that to do his hearing sight thing. And he finds Tatiana. He sees it, it's just like the height, her posture of how she stood. That's got to be her, isn't it? And as he goes to report it into her, Fugo's just like, okay, I'm going to lure Tatiana out here. If she's the person that I know she is, she's going to come for sure. And you see from his vision, this is the important thing here. You see from his vision that you see her holding her phone, and then you see her run away. Which at first it's like, okay, she's just on the move again. She's trying to hide. But from the way she's doing it, just stood still. And then it's not like a full sprint. It's like a, oh, fuck thing, which we know it is. But you can see that Billy gets figured out. Even with the onomatopoeia used, the tump, it's like a, it's not a FUD sprinting. It's just like a, it's a joyful like jog or sprint. And Billy gets to see that. And then seeing that she's just a kid that is trying to live a normal day and has just seen something that she's going to find exciting and wants to go see. He doesn't report it into Fuko because Billy's just like, okay, she's probably seen whatever Fuko's trying to get. I'm not going to report this in and capture her now. I'm going to let her have her fun. That little bit of character moment right there from Billy is so fucking great because it shows the side of him that we know he has, that caring, loving side, but it's also that fatherly instinct of just like, she's just a kid. I'm gonna let her have her fun because with this negated stuff, you never know when it's gonna get pulled away. It's fucking amazing. And yeah, I do think Pan Panda, while Pan Panda has been a thing throughout this whole series, I do think there's a reference to the real life Pan Panda mascot that we have that was going around anime conventions in time for Undead Unluck Season 1. And then we have the moment with Tatiana in the big audience. First of all, everyone fucking noticed this. Page 13, the reference to Chapter 1 when Fuko's hat comes off, Tatiana's rig and hat coming off here. It's a direct callback from it. Love it. Perfect. No notes. We love that. The fucking bit here with Tatiana in the crowd, getting this sort of fucking claustrophobic feeling. It's everyone is suffocating her and going around her as she's just trying to live a normal life. Oh, it fucking hurt to read. Oh my god. Tatiana's internal monologue here is fucking gut-wrenching. We get to learn her backstory of this loop about why she became a model of wanting to support her parents. However, that life as a model has been leading her to spend less and less time with her parents and again to like just see them and touch them less, as she phrases it here. And the thing that's got me curious about this is the way she's talking here about like wanting to touch people, however she's not able to because of this life. It's starting to make it seem like Untouchable is going to manifest differently in this loop. I'm not sure how it's going to manifest. However, this does seem to be sort of leading up to that. Hell, this was all leading up to Untouchable manifesting. However, before it can activate, Kududu intercepts the manifestation of Untouchable by unchasing everyone away from her, which this is the first time we've actually seen a negation intercepted and stopped from manifestation, because up until now we've just seen Fuko controlling it, being able to let it manifest, however then stopping the tragedy from being a tragedy, just stopping it in time. This time it's just flat out, it hasn't activated yet. Again, I do think it's going to activate. The fact that it has been intercepted, I'm curious to see how long they're going to keep it off for, and when it finally does manifest, how the fuck is it going to manifest? Will it be the same as last time or will it be different? And then we finally get the reunion between Tatiana and Fuko. First of all, I just love Fuko's just not giving a damn about subtlety or easing people in or anything. She just goes, yes, I knew you 200 years ago, and I'm here to see you again because I made a promise to you. This is a child. She She is not even 20 as far as we know. We don't actually know Tatiana's age again. I don't know if we're going to get any hints towards it this time or anything, but she is not 200 years old, Fuko, and you know that she's not. She is confused. You are a mascot that she is a big fan of, that's claiming to know her and has revealed your identity to her. Learn subtlety, Fuko, but don't. It's funny as fuck. But the thing I love most about this reunion is the decision to have Fuko be in the Pan Panda costume. Not specifically the Pan Panda costume, but be in the mascot costume in general. Because one of the key points of their relationship is that in the previous loop, they weren't able to have any physical interaction with each other. They weren't able to hold hands, hug, any of that sort of stuff because of Untouchable and Unluck was getting in the way of them. They weren't able to have that because Tatiana was always inside of her sphere because of Untouchable. She was in that costume or that ball or the cage, whatever you want to call it, that was getting in their way. And in this loop, to have their initial meeting and interaction be the inverse of that, of Fuko being the one inside the mascot costume, to have that costume be in the way of them having that physical interaction, and then have her take off the costume and start off next chapter with them finally having that physical interaction. Fuko fulfilling that promise and being able to hold hands with Tatiana, to be able to touch her like normal people and be friends. It's so fucking brilliant. This chapter, honest to God, shows why Tezuka is such a brilliant writer. From the thing of Fuko being a mascot and finally being able to fulfill her promise to Tatiana by taking off the costume, and having Betty being the person to mainly interact with Tatiana as they fill a similar role in Billy's life, and Billy being able to let Tatiana be the child, which was all set up during the Idol arc, the Unchased arc, and having Billy be one of the members to fall under Unchased, and having Veronica come through with Betty, causing both of them to be there, and then have both of them be with Billy as they go over to Russia, being able to have Betty disappear and set up that interaction, all very natural, none of it feeling forced or sudden out of nowhere. It just happened so naturally that you wouldn't notice it. You didn't notice the setup because it just happened so naturally. And with Gina and Chikara being there, yeah, everyone was spread out everywhere, and those two make absolute sense for Tatiana's rescue, with Gina being able to make an unchased barrier to try and contain Untouchable if it freaks out, and Chikara Unmove might help, I'm not sure, but those two, it makes sense why they're there for Tatiana, both story-wise and also just like character-wise, of just, yeah, no, these would be able to handle Untouchable's activation. Tezuka's writing is so fucking phenomenal, and it shows in this chapter specifically. This chapter is fucking brilliant. I love it so much. Honest to God, this might be a top 10 chapter of the year for me. I, honest to God, love this chapter so goddamn much. And it's got me so much more excited for this Untouchable arc. I don't expect it to be too much longer. I think it's only going to be like 3 or 4 more chapters at most. But still, it's such a strong start to this arc. And I'm so excited to see how it's going to be playing out, specifically with how they're going to handle Tatiana and Untouchable. And I hope for more interactions with the Alfred family and with Tatiana. Now, as for predictions as to what's going to be happening going forward, like I said, I do think Untouchable is still going to be activated. They have delayed it for now, and I would like to see that like delved into more, of them being able to delay it and seeing like how long are they able to delay it, and are they able to delay it till like the correct situation arises to where they can activate Untouchable. And maybe even can they delay it until the point where they've given Tatiana a new mindset of what touching someone is and what being able to touch someone is, to try and alter how Untouchable works in a way, to instead being that explosive barrier to be something else potentially. That's what my prediction is of what this arc's going to be focused on. Delaying Untouchable until Tatiana can change her perspective on what touching is. And I do think both Fuko and Billy are going to play important roles in that, as again, those two are important key figures in Tatiana's previous life. After that, I think it's going to be just more of Tatiana is going to get Untouchable. She is most definitely joining Union. I don't see her not joining Union, but I don't think it is going to be simple. I don't know if Soul is going to come in and do some more fuck shit like he's been doing, or maybe a different Master Rule could appear, because we have a lot of negators here. Like, we have everyone from the previous mission here, and they have all been shown to be in specific places, like while looking for Tatiana and whatnot. So something could happen. I'm not sure, but it's not going to go smoothly. Something is going to happen, and I am not looking forward to it in the slightest. Phenomenal chapter, and such a strong start to the Untouchable arc. I cannot wait to see where Tezuka is going to be taking this and to see what is going to happen. Either way, I am just scared for what is going to happen. But hey, hopefully my fears are for nothing, and that it's just going to be a nice silly little arc about a fashion model and everything like that. Nothing bad's going to happen, hopefully. But until then, see ya.